Welcome to our interview today. My name is Marianne Kannengiese, and with me here today is Zach, who is a fabulous director of a school in Kenya. And I'm very, very happy to see him here today and have somebody who can talk about what the real situation in Kenya and with Kenyan schools is today. Hello, Zach, and I'm very happy to have you here. Could you please introduce yourself to our listeners?
Thank you, Marie, for having me. I'm very glad to be part of this interview and also to talk about the situation in Kenya. As Marie has said, I'm Zacchaeus Ogonji. I run schools in Kenya, and I'm very happy to be part of this session today.
So tell me a bit more about the schools you're running.
Yes, these are, in Kenya, we have different types of schools. We have government-run schools and we have private schools, which are like academies, but we also have non-informal schools. These are community schools that help children who are vulnerable, who have different challenges that cannot be able to be solved in a government school or in an academy. So I run this kind of schools, the community schools that take care of the vulnerable children who are mostly from very poor backgrounds, and they don't have access to normal schooling like every other child whose parent is able to pay.
Okay, so it was a bit hard for me to understand because the connection is not too good. Could you please repeat the last two sentences?
Yes, like I mentioned, I run community schools that take care of vulnerable children in the community, the children who don't have many different things from food, clothes, and many other challenges they face. This way, they are not able to attend the normal school that either government is taking care of or academies that people are running.
So these let's say it's the poor, from the poor families and children who don't have any parents anymore.
Yes, children who don't have parents, and also children who might have parents, but because of lack of work or other things, they are not able to take their children to school.
Yes, so it's very, very important work that you're doing, because those children wouldn't have any chance in a normal society.
For sure, for sure.
So I heard that the primary schools are going to be closed for 1 year in Kenya. Is this true?
Yes, they closed. Actually, immediately Kenya recorded the first case of COVID-19. That was 2nd March. The following day, the president closed down all the schools across the country. This is primary schools, secondary schools, even colleges and tertiaries are currently not working. We have had a lot of debate in the last 4 or 5 days, or about 1 week ago, when some sections feel that schools should be open, others feel that schools should be closed. You know, so there is a lot of debate right now in Kenya whether schools should be open or not. Many parents and other community members feel schools should remain closed for the safety of the children. Of course, the teachers also feel that way, but also there is a concern about what happens if COVID-19 then stays with us for a longer period of time. Will this mean that the children will not go to school? And the minister has said for them, the priority right now is about the safety and the health of the children. So they will not comment or do anything that compromises the safety of the children. But again, yesterday, from the address when the president was addressing the nation, he tasked that the Ministry of Education should work on possibilities of maybe opening part of the school so for the final classes. So we really don't know at the moment, and there is a chance that they can go a bit longer before being open.
So what does this mean for the children who are too poor to sustain themselves, and the families who are too poor to sustain the children? As I heard from you, children usually eat at school.
Yes, and this is one of the things like for people like us that is really worrying us, because children, many of the children we work with, they can only afford a meal when they are at school. So since the schools have been closed, these children are in very difficult situation at the moment because they have to stay at home. And in some of the areas where we work, the families are really big. You know, like one family can have 7 children, 5 children, and now the parent is not working and all of them are at home. So feeding all of them has become a big challenge. We are seeing, of course, increasing cases of abandonment of children. Children are being abandoned. There's a lot of cases of children being abused. So there is, of course, schools being closed is causing a lot of problems in the families at the moment. And we really hope that they will be open and children can be able to come back to school. Because again, another challenge we are seeing right now is some families are taking their children with them to the farm, so maybe they can work together and they can earn more. So we are seeing increasing cases of child labor in some of the areas. We are seeing a lot of neglect, and even before COVID-19, these children are already behind in education. They are already disadvantaged. So by the fact that now they cannot see a teacher, they cannot have someone attending to them on academic issues, we think even after COVID, we will have already very many of them having decided to drop out of school. So there are a lot of effects on children, and especially the children that we work with.
But then I see it seems contradictory for me. The government says it wants the children to be safe, and therefore the schools are closed. But the children are not more safe at their homes, and they are not safe when they are abandoned. They are not more safe than their staff.
Yes, and that's I think the reality of our society today, that everybody thinks the children are safe at home, but the reality is the children are not necessarily very safe at home, because then if it is in the streets, like in Nairobi, we are seeing a lot of children taking into the streets, trying to collect plastics and other things to go and sell so they can make an income. We are seeing a lot of children begging in the streets. When you go in the rural areas, we are seeing a lot of children being engaged in child labor and being used to do other house chores away from books, just to keep the family running. So while government says on one hand that children are safe at home, but equally they are not providing for the families. The government has not gone a very long mile providing for the families so that the families can be able to be safe. So it is a difficult thing. I think it is more or less government trying to shift any blame from themselves to the parents, so that in the event that anything happens to the children when they are at home, then people will not say they died in school or something like this.
Mm-hmm. So it's just a case of not taking responsibility as a government.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, we see that with our governments in Europe too. It's a great problem, the problem of taking self-responsibility, being authentic, and being honest.
Yes, and I recently even wrote about it that everybody needs to take responsibility because government is paying its teachers, and we are sure that if they engaged holistically and sat down, solutions could be found. But now everybody wants to take the easy way out of just saying children should stay at home, and nobody wants to think of another way that can be able to help, especially those children who are very vulnerable.
What are you going to do as a person and as a director who cares for the well-being of the pupils? What are you going to do in this situation?
Since they declared COVID, we have had a lot of challenge. My top priority challenge is I run a team of 44 people. These are teachers that we have employed. We have employed cooks who implement our feeding program. We have people who depend on the work that we do as a source of livelihood. So if I have the children stay at home and nothing is happening in the schools and parents are not paying or we are not raising money from the sponsors who support us, then I will not have money to pay the people who work and depend on the work that we do. So that for me is the challenge number one. The easy way out, of course, would be to tell the teachers go home and tell everybody that is working for us go home. We have nothing to pay. And the other hard way is to find a solution that we help everybody to go through this situation. So what we are doing currently, we have come up with 3 programs. One of them is Teachers on the Bike initiative. Teacher on the Bike initiative is about the teachers we have continue to engage the children in their home states. So they go visit the children, they take an assignment to them, they watch out with the families, they talk to them, they raise awareness about COVID-19. So they do different activities to support children, although not in school, back at home. So this means the teacher will have to go around one home state to the next so that they can reach the children that we support. We have seen this already pick up. We have reached out to all our 700 children the last 3 weeks, and all of them have assignment, have some work from their teacher, and they have work that they are doing from school. We have seen this already support because the children in this setup that we are reaching, they benefit a lot with the presence of the teacher. So for someone will say, why not use technology? They don't have electricity, they don't have television, they don't have all these platforms like internet that we might have. So we prefer that we have a bicycle and the teacher goes around. And when the children see the teacher, they feel very, very good. They feel someone important has visited them and cares about them. And then secondly, we have Food for Families initiative. Food for Families initiative is where we are collaborating with other people. They give us money or food, and then we go to these families and distribute food. So instead of us doing the feeding program we normally do in schools, we invite the families to come and collect a food portion, maybe for a week or for a few days, depending on how many children they have. So we have seen this support already so many families. In the month of May alone, we reached 415 families. All of them received at least something to eat. We have seen that support these families to live with hope for the next day. And then lastly, we are continuing with our effort to encourage families and to raise awareness during this time so that parents can be able to help their children when the teacher is not around. It is a big challenge because many of the children also live with their grandmothers who never went to school. They live with maybe a single mother, or they have many other challenges. But we through our teachers, we are trying to encourage families to stick together, because we have seen a tendency where there is a lot of violence within families, and this is pushing maybe the husband away or the mother away, and this puts the children even in much more danger. So we are doing a lot of psychosocial support in terms of just emotional and counseling and helping families to face the situation together.
Okay, so we have 3 important steps: teachers on bicycle.
Yes.
For food for the families and distributing the food, and then keeping counseling on psychosocial
support. Yes.
In the families. Yes, this is very good.
In the families. Yes.
How do you finance all that?
Yes, financing is always a challenge. It's always a big problem. But since we started, we have been using all our resources that we have. Of course, our system depends on sponsors. We have sponsors who offer to pay for the children, independent children, in terms of school fees, in terms of feeding, in terms of well-being. And we are in collaboration with the Fraha EV, an organization in Germany that picks up children for sponsorship. And the sponsors have been very kind. They have continued to pay for their children to help us go through this period. So we are very grateful for that. We also received some donation from Thriving Green, our partner organization that is doing farming and other things to support. So we are receiving partly little support here and there, but the problem is when we give 30 families food, next month we have 60 families that need help, because everybody now looks like he needs help. So even with the resources we have, we cannot reach and support all the people who need help. So we find a lot of challenges there, and that's why we are fundraising every day on Facebook. We are asking people to donate. Of course, we used to sell uniforms because we have our own uniform making business, which we sell uniforms, but now schools are not working, so sales have been affected. We have our own farming activities that we do to raise extra food for our system. That too has been affected because there was recently, apart from COVID-19, there was flooding across the country. And then we had a lot of locust invasion. I think you heard about that. East Africa and had a lot of locusts. They invaded everywhere and destroyed a lot of crops. So the farming has also been affected to that extent. And then with COVID, the boundaries with the neighboring countries have been closed. So we have seen the prices of food really go up. And this is making it even much harder.
So you're facing already economical problems and inflation and raising of the food prices, which everything.
Yes. With everything happening right now, it is just very hard, and we can imagine as an organization, if we are feeling it this way, what about a family that completely has nothing?
Yes. A lot of people in Albania and Montenegro and Macedonia are facing the same problems, especially people who don't have a job but work day by day just to gain some money.
Yes.
And those people are badly affected. Now that they come into a position where they don't have food and start starving, the infection rate definitely will go up because they have a weak immune system due to starving.
Yes. And then it forces everybody not to stay at home. Everybody wants to go out and find something to eat. And that even puts them at a bigger risk.
Yes, so in reality, it's a circle that gets worse and worse every week.
Yes.
Can you imagine any way to stop that?
One of the ways that we are working on that we think will really help is to empower families first to hold strong through our psychosocial support, because people cannot face the situation we are in now without unity. They need to unite the father, the mother, the children, all of them need to unite and realize that they have a common enemy that they need to overcome. So the first thing is to try and minimize violence, try and minimize things that will destabilize families, that will cause even more paralysis in the family. So we are keen on that to help people stand through it, because any other solution we propose without people being firm and people being grounded, it is we are building it on a weak foundation and it's likely to collapse. So our big focus right now is on families to survive, families to get out of this stronger. And then if there is anything else that we will do, any activities, or whether it is to connect them with jobs or whatever, that can only happen once families have survived what they are facing now. And that is why it is important that we provide food, we provide essentials that they need right now so that they can survive and minimize the chances of the cracks appearing, so that later on we can now embark on much more elaborate programs that then can sustain and help the cycle not to reoccur.
Okay, so the first step is unite and get
Yes.
violence out of the system.
Yes, yes, and make sure that people can unite. And if it is a family setup, the parents and the children and the mother, all of them work together, and there is some level of harmony, because then at that point they have the strength to face everything that is coming through. And beyond COVID-19, you have a foundation on which you can build on any idea of. So, for example, if it is finding a job for someone, or helping them start a business, or helping them do something that can help them become sustainable. But at the moment, everybody is, all over the place. And if you give them anything to do, you will have just not helped at all.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so it's taking COVID-19 as a chance.
Yes.
To do better as a society.
Yes, actually, I see COVID-19 as a very good opportunity for people to re-examine themselves, for families to sit down and realize that there is danger to the family and to the people and to the communities. And I think many people are starting to think about it differently. People are starting to think, hey, we need to keep food for 6 months. We need to stock enough for ourselves. People are starting to realize that they need to do something for themselves. And I think that is a very good opportunity that is coming out of COVID-19, because nearly everybody has an opportunity to examine themselves and where they stand. Secondly, also we have some form of microfinance that we have started at this time, where we are pulling in resources. So because at the end of this, we need to invest in the people to be able to start and work on their own. So as an organization, we have a microfinance sort of an arrangement where we are putting in any resources that we might not need to use now, so that we will be able to extend some credit to families, and they can be able to start immediately this situation is over. They can access small credit. They can be able to start maybe a business, or buy a cow, or buy something that they can use as a family.
Yes, I understand. So it's about micro credits and easy payback systems for people.
Yes.
To be self-responsible and start a business instead of go searching for work that is not there.
Yes, that is not there. And that is also a very big thing, because a lot of people have lost their jobs. We have seen many companies closing down and dropping people off the streets and saying, hey, we are not paying you this month. So we are not even sure that after COVID, we will have so many people go back to jobs. So we are already preparing our parents in terms of starting to see the opportunities and the things that they can be able to do. We already have someone who is assigned to reach out and train us to do psychosocial support. We also prepare them that they can be able to start something as soon as the situation gets back to normal.
What do you expect from the COVID-19 situation in Kenya? Do you think there will be a way back to normal, or at least a way back to ease the restrictions?
Yes, we are anticipating that the president is likely to ease some of the restrictions that have been put in place because they did not close down completely. What they went for a curfew. So Kenya has a curfew between 7 a.m. and 5 a.m. in the morning. And then secondly, there is a cessation of movement. So like big cities have been isolated from the rest of the country. So you can't come into Nairobi and you can't go out. And also the northern part of it. So, and then we have the schools closed. We have restriction of the movements in terms of how many people can be in a bus. So we are expecting maybe on 6th, when the president addresses, that is going with what he talked about yesterday, is likely to ease some things, probably increase reduce the curfew hours, maybe put it from 9 p.m. to 5 a.m. in the morning. Is also likely maybe to open up movement. Yes, so we are likely to see an easing slowly by slowly, but the danger we have is because of the situation and the difficulties that people are experiencing, even with a little easing and not fully opening up the country, we are likely to see people ignoring all the regulations and people just going about their day-to-day life as if nothing is happening. So we are likely to see maybe an increase in infection, which is likely to lead the government to close down again. So we are at a point where we really don't know what is going to happen, but we are really hoping that he will ease some of the restrictions.
Okay, so in case we have the same situation in Europe, they are easing and taking off some of the restrictions, but not all. And we are about to go to the summer here. And some people will travel and go on holidays. They will just risk it. And the question is, will we face an increase of infections in autumn? And what concerns Europe, the first lockdown for the 3 months now has had a major impact on the ecological system and the economy. So a lot of little companies just went into bankruptcy. A lot of solopreneurs who just have the company for their own went into bankruptcy. And I just wonder whether we would survive as an economy a second lockdown. How is this in Kenya? How is the economic situation in Kenya?
The economic situation in Kenya is pretty like everywhere else in the world because we have seen people losing their jobs and the large percentage of Kenyan population is employed in informal sector. You know, people who depend on working today, earning today, and so they can live their life. We have seen already there is a problem nearly with all the tourism sector, which employs a very big percentage of people. It's currently on its knees, it's not working. So every day they increase one more day and this situation is not getting better. People are just suffering more and more. So we still can't say what will happen if they ease a little bit and then they have to close it again. But the situation as it is today is already very bad for many people and for many families. So we really hope that when they open up, they will not reach a place where they have to close it again because then it will be very devastating.
If I didn't get the last sentence, if there would be a second lockdown, Kenya would face probably economical collapse.
Yes, it will be very bad.
Yeah, here too. So, as you said, the one thing is to unite, to get rid of violence, to get into peace, to create harmony and create strength in the families.
Yes.
You think that faith is a big topic in that?
Yes, faith has a significant role to play, especially in a society like ours, where religion has been very central to many families. Kenya is a very Christian country and also Islamic now. and a lot of religions. And this has played a role into shaping people's values, people's resilience, and vision. So I think if I can say anything about faith, 90% of people will go through this situation through faith in a place like Kenya, rather than through interventions of government, because government has not reached many of them. There are very many of them who don't know that this situation is the way it is today. And many people live every day with hope and every day with faith that tomorrow will come. So faith has a significant role to play. And actually, many people will complain that the churches are closed. And they will say it is fine for the schools to remain closed, but at least open up places for worship so that people can worship and can be able to, get faith and get strength. So I do agree that faith in a country like Kenya has a significant role to play in terms of how people face the situation and face the challenges they are going to. Actually, in our psychosocial support, we are focusing more on prayers, we are focusing more on giving people hope, focusing more on sharing material that uplift people during this time.
Yes, so I understand you're not only connecting, you are venturing on spiritual power to get people through this bad situation. Yes, I understand that very well. What about politics and what we face in many countries, that money just goes not the ways it is supposed to go, because some people are just greedy and take it into their own pockets?
Oh, that has been a big problem even before COVID, and now with COVID it is worse. Actually, the first big impact for politics and corruption is people don't have faith with government. They don't have trust. So trust between government and the people is completely eroded. Okay. So even now, we have situation where government is saying there is COVID-19 and the population says, no, you are lying to us because you want donor money, And this has played into government having a very difficult time to control people because people don't trust what government say. And now, even in COVID, we have seen politicians still trying to find ways to continue perpetuating politics rather than, understand people are facing a lot of difficult situations. You will find their political gathering among politicians, and whatever they are discussing seems to have more about what the next election will bring. We have to change the constitution. We have to do this. So when it comes down to the people, they feel our leaders are more concerned about themselves and the things they want, the positions they want to get in future, rather than the problem we are facing right now. And this already causes disunity in how we approach it, both from the government side and the politician side and the population side. So because then people are not trusting what the leaders are saying to be the actual reality. So I have seen politics and corruption and the bad image that has been there among politicians really affecting how the citizens respond to a serious crisis like this.
Mm. So this sounds not so good. What about the medical system? Is it still working?
Yes, and I think to that extent, like in Kenya, we have really done, they did very well. And this really helped because it took some time before COVID-19 came to Africa, which I think gave our system a little bit of a window to plan and organize themselves. And I think that's why when the first case was reported, everything was shut down so that then everything else they can start to regulate the numbers from there. So we have seen that what they did is they quickly went in to create extra quarantine facilities. They went into colleges or other government spaces and created extra bed capacities in the hospital for hospitals. They collaborated, and we have private sector also that is running the healthcare, part of the healthcare system. they really got time to organize themselves, and this has partly helped to lower the problem. But as we have gone into it, like the last 1 week, we experienced like a triple digit for growth in terms of cases. There's a day they reported 147, they reported 124. Then that was like the highest 147 cases per day. Already there is a problem because people are going to be tested and then they give false contact. So when they find them positive for COVID-19, they can't really get them. They have turned off their phones, so the phone numbers they gave are not working. And this is partly because when government takes people into quarantine, they are not well taken care of. There is fear that the quarantine, they are charged. The government says they will pay, but when they're in those facilities, people are asked to pay. So people are running away from, being taken into quarantine. And the other system that cannot work, people cannot self-quarantine here in their houses because in places like slums, people live very many within a very small area. So it's very difficult for self-quarantine, and this has really challenged the system. But we saw on the government side, they really hired enough, they hired extra staff, healthcare personnel to really help up the system. So with those interventions, you can say at the moment it has worked to help a little bit, but we have also heard of the cases where a lot of healthcare workers are complaining about lack of PPEs, they're complaining about not being taken care of well, and a lot of other challenges that have been there before. But so far, I can say the situation does not look very bad on the side of the healthcare system.
Okay. Do you know how many people died of COVID in Kenya yet?
Yes, today is 55.
And infected people?
Infected people, as of yesterday, there were 2,016.
So in reality, if you look at Kenya as a big country, it's not too much, but probably there's a lot of, yes, the dark numbers will be very bad, I guess.
Yes, the problem is people who have died as a result of other things, away from COVID, are more because with the hospitals, the challenge we have seen now, people with cancer, people with other diseases are not able to go to hospital because nearly all their facilities have focused now on COVID-19. So you find people with other diseases are now not able to access the medication they need and the treatment they need. So we have seen an increase in malaria cases, people dying as a result of malaria. We have seen an increase in cases like, people are sick, but they can't go to hospital because they fear maybe when they go there, they will be diagnosed with COVID or they will be told it's COVID. So such things are contributing more to what we can consider other deaths that are maybe not related to COVID, but they are as a result of the situation with COVID.
Yes. They're just collaterals.
Yes.
Yes, but as far as we can see here in Europe, the collateral damage is already a lot worse than the actual COVID-19 damage.
Yes. We even had a situation here where police were using a lot of force and killing more people than COVID itself because of the curfew and the enforcing of the curfew rules. And the police usually are not at their best during times like this. So the pressure and people trying to find their way around the rules, the police were beating up a lot of other people and hurting them badly. So such things have become as a result of that.
So what would you as a school director recommend in times like this? What should people do?
I think apart from what I said earlier in terms of people maintaining a lot of unity and harmony amongst themselves, whether it is neighbors, whether it is within families, whether it's within community, people finding a point where all of them can coexist at a peaceful level. That would be what I said earlier in terms of understanding that will really help people to not overreact on things. will help people address this problem as a common problem. So I see that is still lacking. There are still a lot of what I can call disagreements that either are as a result of the pressure that is coming up from COVID or other things that existed before. So in Kenya, there is still tension around borders for land, borders for other things, elections and tribals and such differences. And they have, when they play to a situation like what we are having now, they weaken people's ability to respond to a common enemy. So for me, the first thing is seeking a point of harmony for everyone. Secondly is the government, and I think I wrote this also, the government should be able to organize such that response for COVID-19 becomes a community issue rather than the bigger national government issue. We are in a situation where families don't know how to disinfect the environment. The slums don't know where to get tested. So they should bring it from a big national issue to a more community approach, so that people start to take responsibility at community level. And I think this will help destigmatize, because there's also a lot of stigma that is coming with if I fall sick here, many ambulances come for me, and there is police, and there's a lot of people coming to collect me, to take me to a quarantine center. So I leave everybody else behind, very scared and willing to hide themselves. Yes. So I think if it is managed, if it is managed at a community level, and people start to orient themselves, because we are a community that we are already people who have been faced with different diseases before. Even HIV was like this when it started, but people learned to live with it, and now people learn how to deal with it, and people know how to respond. So that should start to be naturalized now, that people start to prepare themselves to handle it at a personal level. I know if I feel something, I should go to the nearest facility and get tested. And in the event that I test positive, then this is what I need to do, and this is how I need to respond to protect the people around me. So I think it should be personalized rather than continuing to be a big national government agenda. That would be the second option. And then the last one would be we as people who are working in this field, we do not just need to condemn and say, hey, you need to give a solution. I think we need to provide solutions, like Teachers on the Bike initiative. It is working well to support families. We have shared a lot about it with many other people, and if they're in a position to take it up as a solution, then that will be good. We'll have provided a solution to help the children in the villages to be able to continue to keep up with their schoolwork, rather than just sitting and saying, we wait when government will open up or when things go back to normal. While we can think and see in the space where we are, what is it that we can do ourselves to be able to solve the problems, even the ones we are facing within our environment.
So it comes back to self-responsibility.
Yes.
To compassion, definitely to compassion, and to unity, and to a nonviolent life. And we need to not give the whole responsibility to somebody else who will then be the savior. We need to take the responsibility back and, believe in Jesus as the savior, not in the government.
Yes, for sure. Yes.
So this is very interesting to hear you say that it is all about unity and self-responsibility, and not take it to a government level, but take it to the community or the personal level to take the responsibility. This is very important, and I think this is a very good impulse to the people in Europe, because all they can think of in the moment is resistance.
Yes.
And resistance won't need anybody anywhere. It will do nothing.
It will actually attract a lot of hard feelings, and it blocks the ability of people to think and creatively come up with solutions that will inspire change. If we go into resistance, we will go away from having peace that we require to generate solutions. So for me, I feel if we can create more harmony and a calm environment, then people will find inspirations to solve part of the problems that are being experienced right now.
Yeah. If you think of the best version of Kenya that could ever be, what version would that be?
Wow, that's very interesting. I think because I work in the community, I really want a version that partly I borrowed from the United States of America, partly because I want Kenya where if you have a desire to do something, if you have a passion for something, if you have ability to reach whatever level, then you can be able to do it. Right now, there is a lot of lacking of that because many children don't have ability to access the basics. Many families will want to do much, but they don't have ability. People are dying because someone else diverted money meant for medicine, or they took the medicine in the government hospital and sold them in their own private hospital. So someone dies, but I think the Kenya I want to see is where if I can get well when I'm sick, then surely I should be able to get well. And I should not die because someone diverted the money that should have used to treat me and used it for their own personal gain. So it will be a society where, despite the difficulties, because the difficulties will not go away, but the system and the structures in place favor me if I really want to get somewhere and if I really want to do something with my life. At the moment, that is still a very far away goal that all of us, I think, we need to strive to work on and work on it every day, that we reach a place where maybe our children, they succeed based on their merit. Right now, there is a lot of corruption that people can fail exam and buy it, and then those who really passed misses the opportunity to progress to the next level, while those who did not do well buy those positions and then they go on to be the ones who succeed. So I think this question is very good in the sense that it helps me put into words what I really feel about my country, that a country where people can achieve whatever they can achieve fairly and honestly. Yeah.
So you want to see a fair, honest, and united Kenya.
And a united Kenya, where everybody can thrive.
Yeah. Yes, I can only say yes to that.
Thank you.
I hope it will come true in your lifetime.
Yes, we have to work on it. And someone like me, I work on it every day to try and do what I can. You remember, we had a chief who wanted us to bribe him. You saw one of my posts. The assistant chief recently wanted us to give bribe before we distribute food to families, needy families, and we said, no, we don't have money to give you bribe. And they tried to really press us hard, but we stood our values and we said, no, we will not. We don't have money to do that. And at the end of the day, they ended up joining us and seeing that whatever we were doing for the community is a good thing, and they supported us. So it will take work, but we must be willing to do the work.
Yeah, I understand. So you will give us all the links.
Yes.
In case people want to sponsor children or donate to your organization, that they can do it.
Thank you. We really appreciate, and we want everybody to know that, especially myself, I want people to know that I have been through this myself, and because we know the school I went through. If people didn't come through to support me, probably I will not be supporting this 1,000 children that I am supporting today. And that means just by one person supporting me, that person has supported 1,000 others and many other families that are benefiting from the work we are doing. So every time you support one person or support another person, through God's grace and through over time, that person will help many others. And I think that is the only way that we can change Africa over time to have it become better. So I really, really appreciate your offer.
Yes. You are the best example of that, definitely.
Thank you.
I say bye and all the best to you, to your community, and to Kenya.
I also say bye and say thank you all for, especially to your team that received my email and sent it to you. And thank you for this interview. Thank you for this opportunity to speak to you and the world. And I cannot look forward to better times ahead beyond COVID-19, when we'll be able to be a little bit free in our minds, and not feel that there is something around us that we need to be scared of. So thank you very much, and I wish you all the best, and let us connect again next time.
Okay, best to you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.